It is part 4 of the passive solar green frame build, and today I get to work on the north wall. I started with the north wall because I figured that'd be the easiest. 8 feet tall, very little cuts, and we have 12 feet wide. So I had to lay out all the boards after making the little bitty cuts so everything would match up to 8 feet tall. But before I could actually pound these boards together, I decided to put a 2x6 on the bottom of these walls and a 2x4 on top. And so before I pounded these together, I had to make sure I drilled my holes where the bolts are coming up from the base and the foundation. Then I had to measure out 16 on center so I had something to pound the nails to when I put on the plywood later on in the process. So I went ahead and measured all those up and put my X's in the right spot. So I put the boards in the right spot. Hopefully the measurements will all be accurate. Remember, measure twice or more and cut and pound just once. And then came the pounding. All in all, I think the first wall went pretty good, but 8 by 12, some nails, a couple of measurements, and I was good to go. It's coming up on 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I just recently finished kind of part 2 of today's work with the west side wall where the door is going to be and the window is going to be. So it was really kind of a puzzle to put together. And because I decided to put 2x6s as the base, still not sure why I decided to do that, but 2x6s as the base, that meant I was going to lose some inches in that west wall with my original design. So I just had to jerry-rig some of the 2x4s around on the north wall, and I'll have to jerry-rig the south wall design, which is what we're going to do next. But I was able to place the pieces, parts together, the door, the window, made a couple of headers, and have the basic architecture there. And then I was able to kind of shimmy over the north wall and the little small portion of the west wall into place. I'm gonna have some help in a little while putting that north wall in, hopefully for good. But now I get to lay out the south wall. Now the south wall is the most important wall in my opinion because one, I've got 4 windows along the bottom. It is what's called the knee wall of the PSGF, which means usually you want snow to fall off and it's going to pile up down there. I'll probably keep it shoveled or keep the snow away from the windows because the windows will be down pretty much to the ground. But there's going to be windows on the vertical part, and then there's going to of course be the 3 big panes of window that forms that slant for hopefully the best angle in the middle part of winter when we don't have much sunlight here in Minnesota. I've got the 2x6 cut out, I've got the 2x4 cut out for the bottom and the top. Now I need to place a couple of ends in and put some middle pieces kind of in a guesstimated spot, put the windows in there, and we're going to see if we can put this next puzzle piece together in the next hour or two.
Now, the most help I've asked of my family to date is just the patience that this will all come to fruition and be a really lovely passive solar green frame someday. But a big thanks to the family for helping, and yes, my stepfather Yogi, as in Yogi Bear. Yeah, Yog, your help was tremendous. Whether it took me 3 or 4 times to convince you of that, your help was very much appreciated. Thanks to everybody for all that help.
Okay, do you, okay? Break anytime you need it. Okay. Let's go to the left of the kitty litter, okay? Yeah, I think it'll just be easier. Okay. We should go that way. Okay, yeah. And here we go. Sweet. Might have a little close call here. Okay? Yep, we got plenty of room there if you want to step on the ground. Ready? The sun is beginning to set, and I'm very pleased with day 1 of the lumber construction of the PSGF. A big shout out to my wife and my 2 stepsons. My stepfather popped on over. We were able to hoist this big back wall, 8 feet tall, 12 feet wide, kind of force it into its bolted spots. My stepfather and I cranked together the front wall. We got a place for the windows here, here, and here. We were able to give our extra support, and the headers all the way across. So this is going to support the rafters. That's going to hold the big glass. That'll be the angled portion of the green frame. And fantastic. So we don't have it all together, so still a little bit wobbly. This will end up being the easiest side to put together because I can measure it now precisely. Had a couple of slight measurement offs over here, but we were able to pound things in place. And we were just 1/4 to 1/2 inch off on the very front corner over there. We're going to extend that wall 1/4 of an inch, and this wall was already kind of extended 1/4 of an inch, so we will be plumbing the end. And from the inside or outside, once it's framed up and trimmed up completely, you know, only you out there that are really good at building stuff are going to come over to my place and notice it. So I think we're in good shape. We'll get that wall tackled tomorrow. We'll finish this wall here. There'll be the 4 walls on here. And then I'm going to start actually painting this front section. We're going to make this a gray with the white windows. We'll have the white windows popped with some nice light color. And then the rafters, I'll either paint gray or I'm going to put those as white as well. We'll see. So we can paint this while there's no other boards around it and get it all nice and secured with a couple layers of exterior, waterproofed, primed, and all that good stuff. So what a fantastic day. We'll work on walls over here and over here tomorrow, and we'll wrap this one up. So in a click, we'll be back. I need to go rest now, put my feet up, and I don't know, maybe watch a YouTube video about bonsai. We'll see you in a bit. Day 2 of the wall build. Yesterday we finished the back wall and the front wall, and parts of the west wall were done. So I got a quick jump start this morning. I had to really put my brain cells to work really hard, so I didn't turn the camera on at first. But we have the door frame in, we have the lower window frame in. This is just loose right now, showing you the angle that the solar panels, the glass panels, will be at. Pretty close to that. It'll actually go up to that darker brown 4x4 there. That'll be jetting across the ceiling once this other wall here in front of me is built today, and that'll connect the two and make it a little less wobbly. So we've got the pitch for the back of the roof figured out, and so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build the east wall, which will have a window similar to this, so we'll match the windows, and then the rest will just be solid. And the reason why that side is solid is because you can notice I'm in the shade right now. This is not going to be really advantageous for solar gain, for heat gain, but what it will do is have more wall for more insulation. So in the winter months, when we're trying to keep this passive solar green frame regulated, this will stay, it'll hold more heat. The whole back wall and most of the east wall will hold heat. Now I do have a place up here, I'll go point to it now. That'll be a 12 by 12 fan that'll open up automatically when it hits 75 degrees. and that'll help circulate air up top. I'll have another one right across from it up here. I'm considering also putting one here. I'm going to build the framework for it here and the framework for it here, so I have it if I want to insert it later, and I have additional frames. The one thing that I have learned by watching Rob Avis over there at Permaculture is that, or Verge Permaculture, is that he talks about everybody who makes a greenhouse. One of the things that they wish they did more of almost all the time is have more ventilation. So we're going to have one up top, one up top. We're also going to have one over here, and so I probably could have one over here. I'll have the frames for them. We'll see if we use them in the end. The other possibility for some venting is you can always open up that door on the hot summer days, and then if I have two vents on this side, one up there and the door open, we're going to get crosswinds and we're going to cool this place off. And yet another opportunity for venting are the windows all down here. So the windows in the front of the passive solar green frame, I could make to slit open a couple of inches if I construct them right, where they can just swivel about 5 to 6 inches. They can all open up in the bottom and let some air in as well on the really hot summer days. That'll be some figuring to do later. Let's get this wall built and move on to finish this section of the PSGF. The back wall and the front wall were relatively easy for me to put together. I knew I was going to have 3 windows on the front, nothing on the back but straight 16-ounce center studs. And the side walls were weird because this frame, this passive solar green frame, has kind of an odd shape. The angle goes up, and then we're going to have 2 feet up this way before the roof goes this way. So it's kind of a weird kind of shape for a typical shed or a house or an extension on a garage or anything. It's just a really weird shape for the pitches and the angles of this. And so these side pieces were a little bit more puzzly, and I had to put them together. And though I have plans for all these walls, I've been an inch or two off, and I've had to figure these out slowly but surely. The great thing about the east wall over here is that there's only going to be one main window and then a vent window. Everything else is just going to be the studs. I don't have to put a door in over here. And these 2 walls are in and secure, so I can just measure and know exactly where I need to be. That's a good feeling. It's going to be, I think, a little bit smoother today. That sure was a tedious day. I was able to get the left side, the east side, right side actually, my left, your right, the east side of the passive solar green frame all secured up with the tall partition from the back. And then we got these two sides up here now that we put up on both sides. They're mirroring each other. These are temporary supports to hold the beam up there, which is just a temporary. It's not on solid right now. And so now the next thing I have to do is the rafters, but we're going to save that for the next part. Yeah, this is getting too long as it is. It would be really, really lengthy if I kept going. So I'm going to probably go out and get some boards for the back of the structure, and that'll help solidify it. Every time you put a nail in, you put boards in to plumb it up, makes everything stronger. So we're going to fill in the back because that's good and solid and real nice, easy, very little cutting. I'm a little shy of 12 feet, so I'll just have to trim a few inches off on the one side on my table saw. But we'll get that on, and then we'll work on the trusses in the next part and do some painting, get those trusses or those angled pieces that's going to hold the big glass. We'll get all those painted in that protected exterior prime and paint that's going to make sure that it's as waterproof as possible, because this is a wood structure right now and it's a greenhouse. It'll be covered with a lot of material, so this wood won't be exposed, and then some of it of course will be painted, as I mentioned. So it's a good place to at least stop and gather my thoughts, clean up my mess, and we'll work on the next episode next time I get out here and start to build. So let's wrap this one up. Hey, it's coming along. It's kind of cool to actually be inside the greenhouse right now. Now it's not enclosed, so I'm not claustrophobic at the moment. But it's almost a little bigger than I thought, because when I was doing the digging and filling in, I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to move around much. But I will, based on how I put my benches in here. Super, super fun, and it's so, so exciting. And all the neighbors are coming out too. The neighbor back behind me came and said hello today. These guys have been interested over here. They pulled me aside the other day and said, hey, what are you doing over there? Gonna be some fun tours in about a month and a half, 2 months from now, for sure. Won't be complete, but it'll be an enclosed structure. The crickets are sounding, the sun's going down, I am tired, and we're gonna call it quits. So hey, take care of you, take care of all your bonsai, and we'll catch you very, very soon on the next one.